Alright guys, hi, Mo here. How are you guys doing? Sorry, I've been spending like hours and hours setting up this video and I'm dying of heat in here. Like, I turned off the air conditioning because it's too much noise for the video, and I've been like fighting with my tarot decks, especially the Deviant Moon deck. It's just a deviant tarot deck, but it means so well. So yeah, tonight is the dark moon. If you don't know what the dark moon is, in between the new moon and the waning moon, there is the dark moon. So a lot of people don't know that the dark moon is a thing, but the dark moon is when the moon is completely dark. Obviously, it makes sense, right? So when the moon starts to have a little how do you say it, sickle of light coming through it, that's when I call it the new moon. So in honor of the dark moon today, I'm going to do a tarot reading. So let's kind of get right into it, because I know I don't want to bore you with all this chat. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Mo Moon. And I love reading tarot, and I get really nervous about it, as I'm sure if you've seen any of my other videos you must have known. I get super nervous and anxious, and I know how to read tarot, but for some reason I take it so seriously that I get like super anxious, but I love it. And it's also not just an anxiousness, but it's also like an excitement to see like what will divine through the tarot and the oracle decks that I've chosen today. What will divine have as far as a message goes? So today's video is a dark moon oracle and tarot pick a pile divination reading. So I have 3 piles here. We're gonna go with the first pile here. If you choose the first pile, I picked this rock up myself. It is a black, it's like a pyramid rock. So that's the first number 1 pile. You pick the pyramid rock. The second pile of divination cards, I picked up this seagull feather and I washed it, so don't worry, it's clean. Not that I really care, but you know, my boyfriend's a cleany guy, so I think he's right, I should clean it, so I did. Cleaned it in Lysol, but this is my seagull feather that I picked up. Good luck. That's the second pile, guys, the seagull feather. And the third pile, again, something that I picked up, is a snail shell. So the snail's gone. Yeah, there you go. The snail shell. I'm going to move the ring light just a tad so that you can see that a little better. So there you guys go. If I get really close, there you go. It's a snail shell. And the snail's gone. But yeah, it's a really pretty one too. It's got a lot of lines on it. And I'm gonna move this a little more. Maybe if I move it a little bit more, you'll be able to see it. There we go. There you guys go. That's the snail shell, and that's pile number 3. So 1 is the rock, 2 is the seagull feather, 3 is the snail shell, and they all come from Mother Earth, because yesterday we celebrated Mother Earth through Letha. I did put a video up about Letha rituals, so if you're interested in finding out how that was done, you can go ahead and check that video out. I know Letha is just beginning. Yesterday was the first day of the celebration of the Letha Sabbat, so we're going to be celebrating it until the next Sabbat. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this video, and let's kind of get right into it then. So there will be timestamps at the bottom for you guys, and yeah, let's go. All right, so I'm putting these up so we can see the cards. I just feel like this ring light is just like a bother almost. All right. So let's put these up. I hope you guys appreciate these things. Let me know if it's helpful to see the cards by me putting them up on these little card holders. don't want to burn the house down. That would be bad, bad, bad. Okay, so guys, if you picked pile number 1, you picked the pyramid, the rock pyramid. I swear I found it myself. So we've got a few oracle cards and we've got a few tarot cards in these readings. So let's just pause for a second. I just want to ask that that the divine guide me to know exactly how to read for my viewers, and that I don't take them for granted, and that I remember that they're human beings just like me, and that we all worry, and that we all have difficulties, and that we all deal with them differently. And I just ask divine, honestly, that I just have a sensitive heart, because today I'm feeling hard. Like, I don't know if you noticed the makeup and everything. Like, I'm feeling really hard today. It's a darker day. I pulled down the blinds. Like, I'm just feeling like in touch with my dark side. So maybe my feminine side is kicking in a little bit. So yeah. All right. Timestamps down below. If you picked pile number 1, you picked the stone black rock pyramid. All right, guys, I'm warning you, these cards are a little darker today. So with the first card, if you picked pile number 1, we're starting off with the Deviant Moon tarot deck. And we have the Cups, which is, there's 4 cups there, and it's the 4 of Cups. So you see there's a IV, it says, and that means 4. I is 1, V is 5, so IV means 4. 5 minus 1. So we got 4 cups, which is obvious. You see there, he's throwing 1 cup down, and there's 3 that are kind of stacked up beside him. And the one that he's throwing down has some red liquid in it. You can decide what that red liquid is yourself. And there's a moon. He's doing this by the moonlight. And you see he's throwing, I just want you to take a good look at the card before I start explaining it to you. He's throwing it into the sea where the sun is setting. And there is a boat there, a ship taking off. So guys, as I said, the Cups is a suit that I always associate with emotions. And as you can see on his face, he's kind of like full of emotion. His face is full of emotion. If I had to guess, I would say it's kind of like an indifference, kind of like a what the hell, who cares, like this means nothing to me. You know, he's in like a castle, as you can see, like a stained glass window, and it's made out of like stone bricks, and like there's a lot of fortitude in a castle. So he's also dressed in like really nice like clothes, like purple, and like it looks like suede, and almost like he's really well off. Oh, but almost like I'm also looking at the ship below, and I'm thinking like, I'm wondering if this person was like, I wish I could just take off. Like, I wish like that was me on that boat, and that I wasn't stuck here in this castle, and I don't even like care about the golden goblets. Like, the golden goblet is going over the castle edge, and like, screw it, it's going into the sea. Almost like he's saying that like that golden goblet going into the sea is like him taking off with that ship that's sailing into the night. I almost don't want to interpret this card, because I feel like it's so like, it's so perfect just the way it is. And that's the Deviant Moon for you, the Deviant Moon Tarot. But it's just, I have a lot of like, I don't know, I'm trying to focus on mind, soul, and body here. So if I was going to interpret this card for you guys, for those of you who picked pile number 1, I mean, I feel like I've already kind of interpreted it for you in the sense that like I've kind of just told you what the card means, and I feel like if you can identify with what I've just said, somehow I feel like that's a good start to the reading. But we can always go back to that card in case we need to kind of refer to it. So we're kind of starting off with like a ho-hum, kind of like, even more than that, it's more like a defeatist attitude. So the second card we have is 14, and it's from the Light Visions Tarot deck. I see a lot of mysticism in this card, and it almost reminds me of a book that I started reading by C.S. Lewis called Out of the Silent Planet, where the water was made out of different colors and it was floating in the atmosphere. And I see animals in this card, and I see like a person tending to the animals, and I see a dark starry night. So, but this says the sun, which is really strange, like, because when you think of the sun, you don't think of the dark starry night, but there's a light and dark side to everybody. So I guess what this card is saying is that, like, I was reading that if you're a Leo moon, you're actually a lighter side, because the moon is the moon is symbolic of the dark, right? So but I'm a Leo moon, so if you're a Leo moon, you're actually a lighter moon sign than all the other moon signs. And so perhaps watching this, you're somebody who is like this card, who is kind of like, you're a very radiant personality. It's hard to see the picture, I must agree, but if you look with your third eye, you can see all that stuff that I've just described to you. And yeah, so your third eye is like in between your two eyes, and when you move past your vision with your feet, with your human vision, with your actual physical eyes, you can move into, that's when you actually move into the realm of the mind. And you know how you can imagine things, like you can use your imagination to picture things. I don't know if you can relate to that. If you can, comment down below. But this is a card where you kind of like I see a zebra, I see an ostrich, I see an antelope, I see a lot of animals, I see a lot of like I see a lot of an antelope. I see like aliens in this card. I feel like those circles are like aliens. I'm trying to get this to focus. Because guys, I just want to let you know that everyone can read tarot. You don't have to be a special person to read tarot, in the sense that you don't have to be like a special psychic or anything like that. Like, everyone can learn how to use their third eye. And so I feel like a lot of worry, just because I feel that like maybe I'm not reading this correctly for you guys, but perhaps it's helping you just to know that maybe you're a type of person who wants to know that you can read tarot. Like, tarot is for anybody. Tarot is not like racist. Tarot is not like prejudice. Tarot picks you and you pick tarot. So yeah. This is a dark moon reading, so perhaps like the reading is a little different than what you're used to seeing, but I guess what we're doing is we're encouraging you, you know, the moon energy in me, to kind of like delve into that darker side of who you are, and not to be afraid of like feeling inadequate or unable to like read for yourself. Because yes, it's fun and it's great to be able to get someone to read them for you, but I used to be afraid of like suggesting that people read tarot, because as you might know or might not know, I come from a Christian background. So I always thought that if I suggested tarot to anybody, I'd be going to hell for leading them astray. But now that I've grown in my belief about, you know, spirituality and what is good and what is bad, and is there even such a thing, I'm realizing that, like the Six of Wands here, I actually kind of read into this as I was looking at it. You see, like, it's, I can't see the six. Here we go. So it's the Six of Wands. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. So this is from the Pagan Tarot. And there's a woman and a man, and I guess it's the High Priestess and the High Priest of the group. And the High Priest is wearing the black and the High Priestess is wearing the white, in my opinion. And then there's like a group of people around them, and it seems to be, at least I think that these three could be female and then one male, but maybe, you never know. I've seen a lot of transgender people who are so beautiful. They're almost like more beautiful than I've ever seen any female be, and maybe that's a little prejudiced or something, you might think, but I don't think it is. I just feel like they have such flawless skin and stuff like that. But what I'm trying to say with the Six of Wands is that 6 is a very like spiritual number, in my opinion, and I'm just counting the people. There's 6 people in this picture, and the 2 in the middle are kind of like the leaders because they're the High Priestess and the High Priest of the group. But even though they're the High Priestess and the High Priest of the group, like maybe you might look at me and say that, like, this is what I think in my mind. I could be like the High Priestess of this group of YouTube viewers who are viewing this video, and you know, I am, as someone who is probably a little bit more, if you're not into anything of tarot or oracle decks, maybe you're looking at me like somebody who is more knowledgeable. So in that sense, I could be like the High Priestess, and you're looking at me and I'm encouraging you because you are part of the group, because you're part of the human race, you see, and that means that you are just as adequate and worthy to be able to delve into that third eye, to that unconscious part of yourself, past your human vision, into your spiritual vision. And you know, the High Priest has his arms closed against his heart, and the High Priestess, with the wreath around her neck, she has her hands up. And I guess it just says that maybe you're somebody either who is closed off to the idea, or maybe, like I actually think, maybe you're actually excited and you're up and your hands and you're excited, and like this High Priestess with her hands up, and you're kind of like, I surrender, I'm gonna give in to the idea, I love the idea, you know. And then there's, you know, like, you could be in a High Priestess position one day where you kind of feel like a leader in this area, just like I kind of think that I could be myself. And then these others around are kind of learning by example. And the Six of Wands, like I said, the 6 is a spiritual number because I feel like 6 really represents, like, as you know, 666 is in the Christian religion, which I don't know if I should go into, but it's the number of the beast. So when I think of the number 6, because I don't think of like I don't think of Lucifer the way Christians do. You can see some of my other videos about that, but I have a video about channeling Lucifer, and I have a video about the angel of light, who is Lucifer. So 6 to me is a very spiritual number because I feel like Lucifer is such a multifaceted individual, and he is very spiritual. So when I see the 6 of Wands, like, wands are a magical tool in the magic realm. It's a magical tool that you can use to direct energy without causing any without causing any threat to the person, because you can use an athame, which is like a knife, to direct energy, but when you're pointing a knife at the spiritual elements, sorry, the incense is going into my eye. When you're pointing a knife, sorry, yeah. Okay, so when you're pointing a knife towards the spiritual elements, like the spiritual element of air, fire, water, and earth, or to the four directions, south, east, north, and west, you don't want to point a knife necessarily because it's a little threatening, right? So if you have a wand, which is why we're talking about the Six of Wands in this card, if you have a wand, it directs that energy, but it's not in a threatening way. It's in a, I am using the power of the earth to direct my energy to call forth certain beings from the spiritual realm. And I really feel like, guys, those of you who picked this pyramid, it's just like, I'm kind of maybe jumping ahead of myself, but it's kind of cool that you picked this stone pyramid, because like when I think about the pyramids, I think about how people think that the aliens made the pyramids because they're so fascinating. Those like heavy blocks like stacked on top of each other to make such a wonderful form of like of a triangle. And like a triangle itself is a very spiritual geometric shape because it's got 3 points, and 3 represents the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit in the Christian religion, which is like the Godhead. So like there is a lot of light in this reading for you guys, just as there's dark. So you had the Sun card, which to me symbolizes light, but so when I'm talking about the Godhead, I think that you can resonate with that, because I feel like maybe you are also in touch with that God side of you. And I just love that, because I feel like there is a need for both the dark and the light in our spiritual journey, in our spiritual zest for life. We need to know that there is both a dark and a light side, and there are different parts of dark and light. Just like when we celebrate Litha, we are celebrating the sun, right? Bel, the god of the sun, and we are celebrating the Oak King. And I don't know super a lot about this, but I know that Litha is also a time when the Oak King and the Holly King, they agree that the Holly King will start taking over instead of the Oak King, and they are twin gods. And the Holly King brings in the darkness slowly but surely and ushers us into Yule, which is like Christmas, right? Which is in the darker time of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere. So I just think it's so cool, because I feel like for those of you who picked pile number 1 with the pyramid, I feel like you are very, very like into this reading. And I feel like Divine is telling me that yes, you are individuals who are so powerful, and just like all humans are powerful, yes, we all have the ability to take life if we want to. And unfortunately, some people do take that into their own hands. But I feel like you are people who are going to change the world. And maybe you think, oh, well, I don't think I'm ever going to be like a celebrity to change the world. And it's not about being a celebrity to change the world. It's about being the real you. And I sent a message to my sisters, and I sent them a message, and it says the only thing that you'll lose in being real with people is the fake parts of you. And I think that's a good message, because I think that especially now that this Aquarius season, the year of the Aquarius, we're in that part of the time frame where it's the year of Aquarius, and everybody can think like an Aquarius, in the sense that an Aquarius is a very forward thinker and they're very humanitarian. But you don't have to be an Aquarius to think that way. Everyone can mold themselves to be a humanitarian, and everyone can be somebody who ushers in that a certain part of the new age of human respect. And let's just go on to the next card I can. So we have the Emperor. So this is for you men out there who might be watching this reading, and we have a representation of you here. So of course the Emperor is a very masculine symbol, but he can represent a female too, because we all have masculine and feminine side to us. But the Emperor is the sun, and the Emperor is fire, and the Emperor is a go-getter, and the Emperor is somebody who has decided what's going to happen. And as soon as he's done sitting on this throne, in a couple seconds, he's going to get up and he's going to make his move. And that's the symbol of the emperor. And you see this emperor, it's from the Santa Muerte tarot deck. You see he's got like a scepter there with like a cross on top of it, and it's, I believe that's like a square or a rectangle. It's a little bit off, so it might be a rectangle, but I think it's supposed to be a square. But even if it's a rectangle or square, I think we get the idea that it's four corners, like four walls. Like it's almost like when you're in like a box. You're in a box. It has four corners, and like a house. Let's say you're in a house and you're kind of like, okay, you've been there for a while, right? And you're thinking to yourself, I think I've been here long enough. I think I know what I want. I'm going to go out and I'm going to go and get it. So that's what the emperor is. And you see he's also got like this giant like gun, or it's like a gun in his hand. Like he's ready for action. Like, and keep in mind, this is like a South American, like, he's got like a hat, like a Mexican hat on. But there's like a lot of flowers in the background, so he knows how to celebrate and he knows how to have a good time. But he's the emperor, right? So like when I think of the emperor, we associate the sign of Aries with the emperor. So the sign of Aries is a very fiery, like action oriented sign. And what is the part of the Aries that is most appreciated, as far as I've read, is the courage of the Aries, the courage of the sign of Aries. And I do believe that zodiac signs are quite accurate, even though I do believe that anybody can be any kind of like other signs of the zodiac. But I feel like this card is just, it's a major arcana number 4. So there's a lot of balance in this card too. It's not just like a card where you're just gonna like you haven't thought, it's not a card where you haven't thought things through. 4 is a very balanced number, right? And it's also balancing more than one thing in each hand. So it's like when you think of the emperor, you think of somebody who's in control of like an empire, right? You don't just think of somebody who's like, not thought through, he deserves where he's sitting now. This emperor, he's not just gonna use that gun like frivolously, or like he's not gonna use that gun without thinking about what is involved with using that gun. He's also got that scepter, so that's just to remind us that he is the king. He's the king and he's in control. So I don't know where that card's going, but let's get on to the next card to kind of see. The next card is from the Hush Tarot, so it's the Magician. And I feel like the Magician, this card is bringing us more into the physical realm where I was talking about tarot. And here we have a female, and she's got like a lion. This is a very like mystical tarot deck. There's like a lion on her lap, but the head is up on like a pedestal there. And there's like a dragon like monster behind her, but it's the Magician, right? So she's not afraid of these things, and if she is, she's not showing it. And what I mean by that is, it's scary to be in the dark and to be a magician. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've read a lot of different things about how, like, in order to summon in the old god, you need to do certain things that seem scary, right? They're taking place at night. So I feel like this Magician is like, it's just a way to bring in the idea that like fear is a normal part of life, and fear is an emotion like any other emotion. And you see this guy down here who is throwing his emotions to the ground there. Well, not emotions, one emotion there in one cup. It could be a mixture of emotions in one cup, but I have a feeling it's that one emotion where he's just like not even thinking about what emotion it is. But you know what, emotions are important. And as you see from him throwing that cup down into the sea, like that it shows kind of like, yes, you think, okay, I guess he doesn't care about it, but guys, look at his face. Like, he's longing for something, and he's not just moving because he's not hurting. He's moving in this act of rebellion, in this act of like frivolousness of like, I'm gonna do what I want because he cares, because he is a being with emotions. And so, you know, sometimes we're in control and we're really like go forth and like do what we gotta do, but like sometimes we're scared, like this magician card, like, you know, it's scary to face the dark and to do things that maybe you don't know if you're supposed to be doing, because maybe you were brought up like me in your Christian background. You think in your Christian background, you think I can't be doing certain things in the dark with pentacles and with wands and with athames, which are knives, little knives used to kind of like, I use them for special things like opening tarot decks. I use them for things that I think are magical. I've never cut myself with a knife. So just, you know, I don't know if there's a time and place for that, but I don't recommend that at all. But I'm just saying, like, the darkness can be scary, but you have this sun card here. But the sun card is also like, it's not just representative of the sun in the sky, although yes, that is very important. And as we were celebrating Litha with the sun, right, like the sun during Litha is at it's the summer solstice, so it's like at its strongest point. And the sun, as we've understood with Litha, brings in that that life, that abundance for Mother Earth, right? So there is a time and a place for the sun god Bel to be stronger than you know, the goddess, but because we celebrate the goddess during Litha as well, and she is a symbol of female energy. So I guess that there's just like a give and take to this kind of thing, you know. And like, don't be afraid of the dark, but if you are afraid of the dark, that's okay, you know. So I got another card here. It's from the Angelarium Oracle deck. It's the Angelarium Oracle deck. And guys, you got the Zadkiel, Angel of Mercy. So guys, I'm just going to take a break and I'm going to read actually from the book what Zadkiel says. Because I feel like I don't want to interpret this card wrong, because I don't know who Zadkiel is. As I said, it's the Angelarium Oracle deck. So each angel has a name and a function, and I'm sorry I don't know them by heart, but I feel like I kind of want to take a break and read to you guys who picked pile number 1 with the stone pyramid, what this Zadkiel gentleman represents for you guys. So let me just there is no number. So here we go. It's the Angel of Mercy. All right, there you go. So let me just read to you what this means. The Angel of Mercy. The one who metes out forgiveness. And when it says meet, it means like, I think it means like when you mete out forgiveness, it means you're the Angel of Mercy. So you're doling out the forgiveness to people. You're being merciful to people, right? So Zadkiel, Angel of Mercy, the one who metes out forgiveness and the one who judges transgression. Transgressions are like when you miss the mark. So when you do something that isn't considered right, okay? So the one who metes out forgiveness and the one who judges transgression. Zadkiel is the swift gavel. So the swift gavel, I think the gavel is like I think a gavel is a knife, almost like to cut off someone's head. Oh God, sorry guys. So but listen, he's in charge of this, right? So he can have mercy and he can prevent these things from happening. So let's keep going. So the one who, Zadkiel is the swift gavel as well as the crushing hammer. Those who have sinned against your fellow man, Zadkiel may relieve you of your punishment, but in asking, you submit yourself to the scales of the angel's judgment and wrath. Zadkiel sees all the cracks and seams of the soul, finds all the things we cover up to convince ourselves of the illusion of a moral existence. Zadkiel reminds us And I think this is the most important part, guys, because I feel like this is the advice about what Zadkiel is reminding those who picked pile number 1. Zadkiel reminds us to reveal our failings openly and be judged by those that have the power to forgive. It is only the just who make such reckoning. So I think what it's saying is that those who are justified in their actions will correct their failings openly, and they will allow themselves to be judged by those that have the power to forgive. So I feel like this card that you guys got for those who picked pile number 1 with the stone pyramid, it's saying that like Zadkiel is the angel of mercy, right? So what you guys picked pile number 1 with the stone pyramid, right? So we've gotten into the third eye, we've gotten into the dark and light, we've gotten into the God, and I feel like we've gotten into the goddess as well, and now we're kind of getting into the soul. And I feel like, guys, maybe you feel guilt about something, but just know that you've got Zadkiel, right? So it isn't wrong to show your human side. And remember, we were talking about being a humanitarian and bringing that humankind aspect into this new age where things are changing, right? Like the way the economics has worked has changed, and the way people are protesting has changed things. And so Zadkiel is reminding us that this is the right way to be. You know, Zadkiel is the angel of mercy. And the angel of mercy is not going to look at your flaws or those things that you see as flaws within yourself. Divine, it's telling me that I also have flaws, and I know that. And I think this is also a message to myself that Zadkiel is the angel of mercy. And because you got Zadkiel, who is the angel of mercy, it's just allowing me to tell you that you can be kind with yourself when it comes to those things that you feel are flaws within yourself. And if you feel like this reading, or a reading that you may do for yourself with a tarot deck one day or an oracle deck, if you feel like a flaw is being pointed out to you, that's not bad. That's not bad, because it's not just pointing at a flaw to you so that you feel bad about yourself. It's pointing at a flaw about you so that you can evolve into another chapter of your life, into another chapter of who you are as a human being. So the signs are scales. It could be like scales like on a fish, you know. But I think what it is scales like the Justice card, where there's that, it's like a balance, so it's weighing, you know, two sides. So the signs of Zadkiel, the angel of mercy, are a scale, rising smoke. So when we think of rising smoke, we think of when I think of rising smoke, guys, I think of like a ceremony. I think of like a ceremony at a Catholic church where the incense is like the prayers of the saints going up to God. And so that is an interesting thing that you guys who picked the pile number 1, the stone pyramid, and just, you know, that cool stone pyramid that you guys picked. The rising smoke is like, it's almost like saying that if you go ahead and allow yourself to accept those parts of you that you see as flaws, it's almost like an offering to God. It's almost like an offering to God saying, I'm human and I accept my human nature, and I'm not going to allow myself to be bogged down. Just like this smoke, this incense, the rising smoke, the incense is rising. You know, yes, you're burning like a fire, you're burning, you have a lot of passion, just like the Emperor card that we got here, right? Like you have a lot of passion, you have a lot of fire, you have a lot of drive, and that smoke is rising, and you're letting go of that heaviness. Because let's be honest, when we see things in ourselves that we don't like and we acknowledge them and we let them go, it's almost like a weight is being lifted off of our chests. And a gavel, and like I said, I really think that a gavel is like a guillotine, where you've got your head in the guillotine and it gets chopped up. Because let's not forget that, like, this is the angel of mercy. So if we look at things from the aspect of sin, which is a transgression, can also be thought of as a sin, because he said the one who metes out forgiveness and the one who judges transgression. So the one that judges a sin, right? Something that a sin is a word that means to miss the mark. So you know when you like throw a dart at a dartboard and you don't get it in the center, or when you like, if a bow and arrow man throws throws the arrow with the bow at a target and he doesn't reach his target. That's what the word sin means. It means you've just missed your mark, and even if you miss it by a little bit, you've missed it. So we have a gavel, right? Because we have to remember that if you think of angels, you think of demons too, right? So you think about like a god and you think about like a punisher, right? But guys, this isn't a judgment on you guys. This is just telling me that you believe in this, like, this whole idea of like spirituality being a journey and not necessarily everything is black and white. And so yeah, I'm really excited for you guys, because I feel like this is what the new age of the world is going to be like. I think that people are going to be more open to being themselves, and we don't have to pretend to be, you know, something that we're not, and we can allow ourselves to be open about our mistakes to ourselves and to those that we care about, or to those that, you know, care about us. And the last card that you guys got is Follow the White Rabbit. And guys, this is from my Alice the Wonderland Oracle. So Follow the White Rabbit, card number 3. And it says curiosity meets opportunity, guys. And I think this is a fitting way to end the reading for those who picked pile number 1, the stone. The stone pyramid, you guys. You guys are, I don't know, you guys are something else with your third eye and your darkness and light and your sun. And we even got the moon in this card, guys. We got the Deviant Moon Tarot. And so you guys are finishing up this reading today with pardon me, Alice the Wonderland Oracle, Follow the White Rabbit. And what is the White Rabbit, you guys? I don't know, for those of you who watched Alice in Wonderland, you know that the White Rabbit, it says curiosity meets opportunity. So the White Rabbit represents the curiosity that Alice had, where she followed that white rabbit in through the hole, and she fell down through the hole, and she fell and she fell, and she came into this, you know, magical, as far as I can remember, land where everything was talking, and, you know, the flowers were singing to her, and everything was just different. And so, sorry, I'm just looking at my incense. Stop burning. So Follow the White Rabbit, and you guys, it's card number 3 in this Alice the Wonderland Oracle deck. And it's interesting because when I think of card number 3, I think about how you had card number 6, which was, which one was card? Oh yeah, it was the 6 of Wands, guys. Am I covering it up? There you go. The 6 of Wands. There we go. There's the 6. So guys, I think that the 6 of Wands and the 3, Follow the White Rabbit, because, you know, that's the order. It was this one first and this was the last. I think that as I was talking about from the 6 of Wands, I was talking about like delving into your own spiritual side, and like delving into tarot, or delving into oracle cards, or delving into magic, or delving into your third eye, or delving into what the sun symbolizes, or what the moon symbolizes, or the emotions that you're feeling. Like this card, you know, maybe this was how you felt when I started the reading, you know, like we had card number 4 of Cups, you know, where he's just like throwing that cup over the side because he wants to be on that boat, you know, sailing off into adventure. And guys, you can sail off into adventure. You don't have to take a boat or a plane or a train or an automobile to sail off into adventure, guys. Adventure is right in your own mind. And that just reminds me of a quote that I saw on a book, and then I don't remember what book it was, forgive me, but and I don't remember what the quote was exactly, but it did say this, guys: the greatest adventure, and I'll leave you with this curiosity card and Follow the White Rabbit. follow the white rabbit. Curiosity meets opportunity, guys, because the opportunity is yours. And why I'm saying this is because I'm going to leave you with this quote before I end this reading for you guys who picked pile number 1, the stone pyramid, which reminds me of the Egyptians and the third eye and the impossibility of building pyramids without an alien. You know, who knows who built those pyramids? Maybe it was the aliens who helped the Egyptians, you know. Or the Hebrews, whoever built the pyramids. I don't know. There's so many different theories out there. But guys, this is the thought I'll leave you with for those who picked pile number 1. And don't get distracted. Listen to this because it means a lot. And I'm only going to say it once, okay? So let me think about how I'm going to say it before I do, because it's something else. Here we go. This is your bit of advice, guys, for this reading, for those of you who picked pile number 1, the stone pyramid. The greatest adventure you'll ever take will be within your own mind. I just think that's something else. So, yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this reading for those of you who picked pile number 1, the stone pyramid. Blackish gray pyramid. I swear I found that outside. It was fashioned into this pyramid. Something else. So guys, if you enjoyed this reading, for those of you who picked pile number 1, please leave a comment below if you can. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more readings. This was the dark moon reading on the 21st of June 2020, but it's a timeless reading, guys. It's a message for whenever you see it. But I just happened to do it on the dark moon because I feel like it's a good day to do a pick a pile of divination cards reading. So guys, subscribe to my channel if you want. As I said before, my name is Mo Moon, and I hope you enjoyed this reading. Bye, guys. Hi, guys. Welcome to pile number 2's Tarot and Oracle divination card reading. You guys who picked pile number 2, just to remind you, if you picked pile number 2, you picked the seagull feather. Representation of air, actually, on an altar, obviously, right, because birds fly. So I won't make you guys wait too long. Let's I guess you might have clicked on the timestamp to get to this reading, so I'll get going with it. But let's just ask that the spirits and that that the spirits of the elements of air, fire, earth, and water, and the spirits of the south, east, north, and west, and the divine spirit of all beings guide me to read properly for those who are watching, to find out what the reading for pile number 2 is. And when I say pile number 2, it seems so like matter-of-factly because there's a lot of wonderful tarot and oracle cards that have gone into this reading. So as much as I can, I'll tell you what the tarot or oracle decks that I'm using are, because it is quite important. I feel like each tarot and each oracle deck has their own personality, and I honestly feel like a tarot deck is an extension of myself. I don't just look at it as a deck of cards, and I don't look at an oracle deck as a deck of cards, just a deck of cards either, that I can use to my own will and shuffle to my own will. I really feel like they're a divine tool that is used and that can actually hurt someone if they're read in a way where people feel like they have to go ahead and do something based on what the reading is. So let me just remind you, because I feel like it's necessary to say this for those of you who picked pile number 2. Tarot and oracle card readings are a way to read the energy. And yes, I have found that when I've picked a card for the day, like the other day I picked a card, it was the failure card in the Thoth deck. And oh my God, guys, I swear to you, that was the worst day I've had in such a long time. And when I looked back to see what the card was that I drew that morning, it was the failure card. And that day, I tell you, was a complete failure. So let me not belittle the cards to you either, like by telling you that the cards don't accurately read energy and foretell future aspects of what can happen. But the thing is, guys, I didn't read into that card as, oh my God, I'm going to have a failure of a day. I saw this card and I thought, well, what does this mean, failure? Like, I don't see this card as a failure. I see this card as like the opportunity to learn something positive about myself. And guys, it's true. Tarot cards are a way for, and oracle cards too. I don't know why I keep forgetting about the oracle cards. But tarot and oracle cards are both important ways to be able to present to us an opportunity or a situation and allow us to grow through it. So when I'm reading the tarot and oracle cards to you guys, don't feel like you have to go jump off a building, because no. Like, and I'm not saying I'm going to tell you to do that, but you know what I mean. It's a way of speaking. Like, if someone tells you to jump off a building, you're not going to go jump off a building, right? So like, I try as much as possible not to give advice, like concrete advice with my tarot readings. But if I see that something is true, I have to say it, right? But I always like to put a little positive aspect to it, because life is negative and positive. And even though I tell you that day was a complete failure, like, I learned from that day and that tarot reading from the failure Thoth card that the tarot is very observant, and the tarot is a divination tool. So with that being said, I'm not going to lecture you any longer. You guys picked the seagull feather, which is fantastic. And so let's just get on to the first card, which is coming from the Deviant Moon Tarot deck. Oh god. Guys, this deck, when I first started using this deck, the first time I used it, it freaked the hell out of me. So don't get freaked out. It's just got its own personality, alright guys? So the first card we have for you is the Knight of Swords. And I have to say that the Swords is a suit of willpower, intuitively. It's a card of the mind. It's the Knight card is a card that brings in a certain atmosphere. So if I had to say what is the atmosphere that the Knight of Swords is bringing into you guys right now, I'd definitely say that it's bringing in an atmosphere of the mind, guys. And the mind is the most concrete, most basic thing that I can tell you. So already I can tell that you guys, you need to have your thinking caps on for this reading, okay guys? I'm not going to get too much more into that card, but we might get back to it. So the next card we have is from the Light Visions Tarot deck. And we have the Tower, and it is card number XV1. So 10, 5, and 1. So 10, 5, and 1. So it's card number 16. 10, 5, and 1. 16. The Tower from the Major Arcana. And I don't know if you guys, this is a wonderful tarot tower card to get. So that time 6 times fast. Tarot tower card. Tarot tower card. Try to say that too many times anyway. So, but it's a beautiful tower card. I don't know. Usually I'm used to seeing the tower card being depicted by like lightning hitting a building made out of bricks and stone and crashing to the ground with fire and lightning, as in like a judgment card. But guys, you have the Tower card, which is an illuminated mansion. You have an illuminated mansion, and you have the sun coming up over the water, over the seas. And guys, I would say this is a card of new beginnings for you, because I feel like this card is telling me you guys have already been through a whirl of a mind tornado. So you guys have gone through this, the Knight of Swords, and then we have the Tower. And the Tower, what comes before, you know, healing is emotional, what's the word I'm looking for? What comes before healing is emotional, like cutting, like a cut, like an emotional wound. There we go. So before healing comes an emotional wound. But this Tower card is telling me that the sun is coming up over the water for you. So when I think of the sun, I think of a new beginning. I think of a new day. I think of the water as a very obvious sign of emotion. And I think of the lights on in the mansion as like the mansion of your mind, and the light has just illuminated in that mansion. And you know, now the sun is coming up over the horizon, and you won't need to have those lights on anymore, because the sun is finally coming up. And I don't know how long you've been in the dark mentally, or how long you've been fighting mentally, because we had the Knight of, let me just check here. I don't want to say the wrong thing, because it's very important what you say to people. So the Knight of Swords, right? So you had the Knight of Swords, and This Knight of Swords is a beautiful moon man. So he's got a moon face. And I told you we might go back to him. So let's go back to him, right? You see that he's got a crescent moon face. And the thing is, there's a crescent moon in the background. Almost like he's one with his environment, with his surroundings. And he's got, he's riding on like a, he's riding on some kind of beast. Look at that, with a tail. He's like a mythical creature, almost like a dragon mixed with like a boar, or like with like a dinosaur, and like it's so mystical. And I think that just goes to show you that in the nighttime things don't always appear the same way as they do in the light. And I feel like this divine is telling me somehow that I'm getting this spiritual download, that the dark night of the soul. So for those of you who picked the seagull feather, the air, the air of this, it's funny because there's so many things I want to tell you, and I feel like I can't get my thoughts out in a clear, concise manner properly to express myself to you. And that's really strange for me, because usually I'm quite accurate on my words. I almost feel like this inadequacy is making me feel like, can I do this? Can I do this reading? Can I figure things out? How am I gonna explain this to people who are watching this video? Why is it that all my thoughts are mumbled jumbled and my words are just stuck on the tip of my tongue, and I feel like everything is just overwhelming to me. And I feel like this is a feeling that I'm getting, of a human feeling of, and the dark times that we've been going through, guys, not just on the outside with the protests and the virus, but just the dark time that we've been having with like our hermit lockdown. Like when I say hermit, I mean we've been locked in our houses for a little while, and now things are starting to change. Yes, but I feel like it's opened up this can of worms where we've been introduced to ourselves, and we've been reintroduced to ourselves in this different kind of light where we're not really sure how to express what we're understanding about ourselves. And I'm holding this seagull feather and I'm thinking to myself, what is the next step for this tarot reading? And maybe you feel that way too. Maybe you feel like, as much as I try to be superhuman and like super happy all the time and like super lighthearted and jovial and joyous, and I've just been really struggling. Like I really have been struggling, guys. I guess I'll do a YouTube video and I'll stop the YouTube video like just before, and I'll just be like, oh right, this is real life. Like it's not all about like super mystical spiritual things. Like it's about real life, and it's about real lives, and it's about my life right now because I'm in my own mind. And maybe that's how you feel with this Knight of Swords, because the Knight is an atmosphere and the Swords is the mind. So we're starting off with an atmosphere of the mind, and how the realm of the mind is like a battlefield. And sometimes, we get wounded by what we understand about ourselves, or what we're understanding about humankind or the world. But mostly it's about ourselves right now, right? Like it's about questioning ourselves and where and what we are, and why we are criticizing ourselves, and why we are putting ourselves down. And then we have the Tower, and like the Tower is a destruction card. Like don't get me wrong, like we're in a tower moment according to the spiritualists, where like things are being pulled down and torn down, and like lightning is being like thrown from God, from the sky, to like destroy us because we've been bad, and like we've sinned and we've done something wrong and we deserve to be punished, and judgment is upon us. And now it's like we're falling out of the tower, and like we're dying, and like we're on our way to death, and like we don't understand what's going on. And guys, this is a tarot reading, yes, but like that's what this Tower card is telling me. I'm like, It's card number 16, so that's 1 and 6. And like when I think of 1, I think of new beginnings, which is really appropriate for the Tower card, because once everything has been torn down and destroyed, there is that 1, which is about new beginnings and rebuilding and like starting fresh. And then there's like the 5, which reminds me of like, because it's number X51, right? So like I have the 1, and then which is about new beginnings, and then I have the 5, which to me represents the pentacle, which is like the star, the pentacle. So I have a pentacle on me right now. It's a star, and you've seen it before, I'm sure. So like the top is spirit, and then we have fire, earth, air, and water. So it's like, and then there's like the circle, which I like to think represents like that song from The Lion King, the circle of life, you know. And then there's also the magic circle, which if you're familiar or not, a magic circle is like a circle that you draw around yourself before you do magic in order to keep negative energy from coming into your sphere. And then I am also thinking about a protective light, a circle of light that you can imagine around you, like a bubble of light coming from the light in your heart and coming from the light outside you to protect you. And so this Tower card, we have the light coming over the horizon, over the water, and we have like a destruction, but we also can think about like a new beginning. So we had like this was card number X51, so that's 10, 5, and 1, so that's 16. And what I wanted to say is 16, 1 and 6 equals 7, and 7 is the number of perfection. If we go back to the story of creation in the Bible, in the book of the Bible, we know that creation was a 6-day process, and that on the 7th day God rested, right? So like the 7th day can be like a day of rest. And the interesting thing is that this is card number 16, and like just as I was saying that, like it's X, 5, and 1, so 1 is new beginnings, 5 is like a magical number, and 10 is like a 1 and a 0. And when I think of 10 as 1 and 0, I think of 1 as being the magician and 0 as being the fool, right? And the Fool card is like to represent this Tarot card, and like to represent like how things are coming down. The Fool card is card number 0 in the Tarot deck, and the Fool card represents like a lighthearted newness, and like something that you don't have any worries about. Like the Fool doesn't have any worries, and yet he's considered to be a fool because he's so lighthearted and he's not paying attention to the warnings, because he's not afraid. He is ready to start anew, and he's ready to like start counting, you know, 0, 1. And then when I think of 1, I think about the magician, and how the magician has come to understand the darkness around him, and he's come to understand the physical things and the spiritual things, and how now he's starting to manifest things for himself. And guys, that is just a foreshadowing of what this Tower card is for you. It's just the foreshadowing of what this Tower card for you is. So the next card we have, for those of you who picked pile number 1, who picked the seagull feather, we have the Initiate of Wands. And so the Initiate of Wands is also known as the Page of Wands. And I'm just reminding myself because, you know, I want to be sure that I'm saying the right things, which is always important, right? Like what we say can tear someone down or build someone up. And like, let's just remember that words are powerful. And so the Initiate of Wands is the Page of Wands. And when I think of the Page of Wands, I think of the Messenger card. And I'm really drawn to my humanness right now, guys, because I'm still thinking about how painful it is to be a human being. And the Wands is symbolic of like on an altar, like a pagan altar, or, you know, any kind of altar, which a witch might use, or, you know, where we have a wand, we have a pentacle, we have a chalice, and we have an athame, which is like a knife, a spiritual knife. So the wands is a symbol on, you see the Page of Wands is holding a wand there. And you see it says Initiate of Wands on the top. So this Initiate of Wands is holding a wand, and he's almost like the wands on the wand on an altar, a pagan altar, or a witch's altar, or a Wiccan altar, or whatever kind of altar you can think of where a wand is present. It's a magical tool, right? Like it can, when we focus our energy with the wand, we can direct the energy from within us through that tool to a specific area. And when you see like a wand on an altar, you think of like Harry Potter or something, where like a wizard will use a wand to, or you know, a wizard will use a wand, yeah, to abracadabra make something appear, right? And maybe they don't say abracadabra in Harry Potter, but I don't really watch Harry Potter, but like I know that it's about wizards and magic. So you see, he's kind of caused a fire there in the corner, right? And the wands are symbolic of fire, and the atmosphere of the element of wands is one of work. So what I look at as I'm stumbling through my words, what I'm looking at and what I'm trying to express to you is that there's a new day over the horizon, and you will have to do the spiritual work and physical work to allow things to become new for you. As we saw that Tower card, which represented like a breakdown, and like we had the Knight of Swords, which was like a mental process. So almost like a mental breakdown, but also like a rebuilding, like as I was expressing through the Fool and the Magician through the Tower card. And as the sun was rising over the horizon, in this Tower card, we saw the sun rising over the horizon, almost like a new beginning. But when there are new beginnings, there is work to be done, just like this initiative wands from the sorry guys, I just want to see. Okay, this was the Pagan Tarot. This was the Pagan Tarot. So he's also wearing orange and yellow, which are like the colors of fire. So this is a very like work is exhausting. Work is exhausting. Sometimes we need to rest. We can't always be go, go, go. Okay, guys, that's the message right now to me and to you. It's like, I can't just keep going and going and going. Like, I have to take a breath. I have to remember that I'm only human, and that as much as, yes, I can connect to the tarot and the oracle cards, just like this Tower card that I keep messing up with the word tarot, I'm human and I'm fallible, just like anybody. I make mistakes. So the King of Pentacles is the next card for those of you who picked this seagull feather. And when I think about the seagull feather, I think about how birds have to fly and how exhausting it must be, right guys? And maybe this is the energy of you as well. Like, you're just feeling exhausted, and like now we have the King of Pentacles, and like the King of Pentacles is such an opposite card from what this reading, from the way this reading is going. Like the King of Pentacles, like Pentacles is such a like an objects card. Like Pentacles, when I think of Pentacles, I think of money, you know, I think of income. When I think of Pentacles, I don't think of anything right now except for money. And you're like, the King of Pentacles, like who's the King of Pentacles? I wonder, like the person who has the most money, right? Like how frustrating, like in a time when like I feel like I'm broke, right? And like maybe that's how you feel too, and maybe it isn't. Maybe you're just like this King of Pentacles. And if you are, like, I fucking hate you. I'm just joking. But like, that's how I feel. I'm like, maybe that's how you feel. Maybe that's why I'm feeling that right now. Who knows? Like, we can only go within ourselves and like find out what we are feeling. And look, I'm looking at this King of Pentacles, and look, he's got a treasure chest on top of it. Like, who has the most gold, really? You know, like, and look, he looks so chill too. He's got his like chill John Lennon glasses on, and he's got his like super cool hippie beard, and like the sun is like shining bright around him, and like, but like it looks like there's thorns. Like it looks like he's gone through a hard time to become this King of Pentacles, guys. And what I'm not telling you is that Pentacles is also a magical tool on an altar. And like I was talking about to you guys about the pentacle around my neck, right? I was talking about how like the pentacle is symbolic of spirit, earth, air, water, and fire, and how the circle around it is like the magical circle of life. And like it's the King of Pentacles, guys. So like I feel like we've come full circle. Like we're back at like realizing that we aren't just physical beings, we're also spiritual beings. And we aren't just beings that, you know, need to make money. We're beings that need to have a spiritual, like bounteous life as well, right? So for those of you who picked the seagull, this was pile number 2, seagull feather. Pile number 2 was the seagull feather. So let's go on to the next card, which comes from the Hush tarot deck. Sorry, I'm like falling all over my words. It's horrible. We're all fallible, right? And I guys, I get the like I get the impression I'm really tired from the first reading, but like, I don't know, comment down below if this is how you're feeling. Like, if you're just feeling like discombobulated right now, because I feel like that's the vibes I'm getting, like, from these cards. I just feel like discombobulated, like Mr. Potato Head Man. Like, the nose is on the sidewalk, and like, who knows where the rest of Mr. Potato Head is. Like, I feel like I'm running around like I've lost my nose and I don't know where to find it, like, type of thing. Like, I'm, Mr. Potato Head with the pop in eyes and the nose and the mouth and like the ears. And I mean, God, I don't even know if you guys know what that is, like Mr. Potato Head. I'm from 1981, so I don't know if you younger generation will understand what Mr. Potato Head is. And if you do, make sure you speak up down below and tell me, like, I don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about me. So again, discombobulated. So we have the Page of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles is a message to us. The message from the Page of Pentacles is a message of, again, like, immaturity. Like, the Page is almost like the initiate here of Wands. So, like, the initiate of Wands is the Page of Wands. And when I think about the Page, I think of, like, the definition of someone who's very immature in their dealings with, like, in this case, it's the Pentacles. Like, so maybe it's like an immature dealing with money, or, and again, I feel like I'm talking to myself, but like, I have to remind myself that there is a spiritual aspect to everything too, right? And if we can connect with all those aspects, like, look here, she looks like she's a high priestess, to be honest with you. Like, this tarot card of the Page of Pentacles, like, she looks like a wise woman, guys. Look at her. She's so beautiful, and she's just so well adorned with her headpiece and her robe. And then she's got like the goats there, guys, like, which is like really symbolic of like feminine energy. Because when I think of like the goats, I think of the darkness, I think of like Satan, I think of the night, I think of like that feminine energy of the moon, guys. So like, don't get down on yourselves. Remember that you are all good at something, and like, she's just so beautiful. And don't stop before you reach your goals, guys. Like, there is a goal ahead of you, and yes, we have to get there step by step. And yes, sometimes it's difficult, and we go through all kinds of different situations, like the Tower card, and like the initiate of the Wands, and like the Page of Pentacles. And the first one we had was the Knight of Swords. You guys, like, we have the Knight of Swords, we have the Page of Pentacles, we have the Page of Wands, and we have the and then we have the King of Pentacles. So I feel like this reading is all over the map in terms of like Page of Pentacles, Page of Wands, like the King of Pentacles, like the Knight of Swords. So we have the swords, we have the pentacles, we have the wands, and what are we missing? The cups. We're missing the cups, guys. So like, I think that just the fact that I pointed out that we're missing a cup reminds us to be gentle with our emotions. Like, the cups are a symbol of emotions. And no, I didn't draw a cup card here, guys, but like, let's just point out what's not here, and that's the cups, because we have to be mindful of our own feelings. And yes, it's easy to be self-critical and to put ourselves down and to think, I'm always making mistakes, I don't know what I'm doing, like I'm always second guessing myself, I don't know what's going on sometimes. And that's normal. That's normal, because we're human and we're not magical mystical beings that like, don't make mistakes. And even magical mystical beings do things that can be considered mistakes. Like, I'm so sure of it. Like, everyone makes those things that we call mistakes, and then those mistakes, what are they? They're learning abilities, they're learning opportunities. We learn how to learn through those mistakes, that we have new abilities through those mistakes that we make. We can come full circle. We can learn through the mistakes that we make, through the stumbling that we do, through the falling over our words. Like, as I'm talking, I'm thinking back and forward to my words, and we learn how to be intelligent human beings by the things that we do. If we don't always look at them as negative things and try to shove them and push them under a table or sweep them under a rug, we have to acknowledge those things that we think are mistakes, because sometimes they're not mistakes, they're just ways to become more intelligent. So the next card that I'm going to be drawing, for those of you who picked the Seagull Feather for pile number 2, thank you for being so patient. The next card is coming from my Angelarium Oracle deck. Okay guys, so that's the Angelarium Oracle deck, and the next card you have, for those of you who picked pile number 2, the Seagull Feather, is Suklaf. That's a beautiful card. I love the green. The green just stands out so much, and look at those beautiful like trees, and like it's like it almost looks like a tree monster, like a tree giant monster from like a mythical like Lord of the Rings movie. Like he looks like a soldier, like a tree soldier from like Lord of the Rings. And look at the beautiful cliff that he's on. It's so full of greenery. And the sky is so blue, and the clouds are white and fluffy. And there's that like, there's like I thought it was a ship, but there's like all kinds of antlered animals in the foreground there. So you got Suklaf, Suchlaph, Suklaf. And this angel from the Angelarium Oracle deck, guys, let's not be hasty, is the Angel of Verdancy. So let's read about the Angel of Verdancy, because to be honest, I'm not even really sure what verdancy means, and I really want to find out by reading what the card has to say about Suklaf in the description of the Oracle of Emanations Angelarium deck. This is the book. Okay guys, so let me find Suklaf. They don't have numbers because they're angels, so I guess they just are. They're just beings that just are. So we have the Angel of Verdancy. So maybe you know what verdancy means, but I don't. If I had to guess, I would say it has something to do with abundance, because there's so much green in this card. And I would also say it has to do something with like fighting, like for abundance, verdancy. Let's see if we can figure it out from the definition here in the book. So Suklaf, Angel of Verdancy. I'm sure you can figure this out. At least I can. The wind moves through the grass in waves, carrying with it the seeds of growth, so abundance and fighting for abundance. And how does that happen? By the waves, the wind moves through the grass in waves, carrying with it the seeds of growth. So when I think of that, I think of like dandelions, and I think about how the wind carries the dandelion seeds through the air in order to spread that growth of the dandelions and the abundance of those beautiful yellow weeds that we call them, which are really flowers. They're actually fighting flowers, right? Because as much as we try to kill the dandelions, and when I talk about I talk about like, you know, in general, as much as we try to kill the dandelions, sorry guys, my nose is leaking. They're still fighting, right, for their lives all the time, and they're abundant regardless. So I really think that verdancy has something to do with fighting in order to be and always being abundant. So let's keep going. I'll start from the very beginning. Suklaf, Angel of Verdancy. The wind moves through the grass in waves, carrying with it the seeds of growth. It flows across the landscape and burrows into the cool soil. Beneath the fallow earth, seeds vibrate and burst, changing the loam. The transmuted life, already craving the open air and the ecstasy of sunlight. It is nature and natural for plant life to seek the sky and the blessing of the sun. What did I tell you guys? It's about fighting for abundancy and growth, fighting to live. With this simple act, no prayer, the dominion of Suklaf expands. Cool. With open hands, I'm getting goosebumps, guys. With open hands, Suklaf denies decay and defies entropy. So it defies entropy, which means it defies decay. It defies entropy, so breaking down. All is verdant where Suklaf wanders. Let your roots take hold and allow the gaze of Suklaf to fall on you. It is the season for blossoming. Signs of Suklaf. A branch, a flower, a seed, guys. So verdancy, fighting for growth, guys. Fighting for something that is already belonging to nature, growing, being vibrant. Suklaf, the angel Suklaf that you guys have, is the initiate, is where everything begins. Suklaf is the angel where everything begins to grow. And when Suklaf falls on you, it's your season for blossoming, guys. This is such a positive card. We talked about the Tower. We talked about being all over the place, all over. We talked about, criticizing ourselves. We talked about, remembering that we are human and that we are learning from these problems. But we also are faced here with the fact that we are abundantly intelligent. We are abundantly spiritual. We are abundantly in touch with Mother Nature. And when I say that, I mean because look at this. This is a card of Mother Nature. Look at that. This symbolizes, to me, this looks like Litha. And if you haven't seen my video on Litha, I have a Litha ritual video here on YouTube on my channel, this channel, Moon. And it's about the sun being at its peak, and it's about Mother Earth taking that sun and becoming its most, Mother Earth has become its most abundant here in the Northern Hemisphere at this time in June. Today is June 21st, 2020, and this is a timeless message, guys. But for me right now, it's June 21st, 2020, and yesterday was the celebration of the Sabbat Litha, and we were celebrating how Mother Earth is pregnant with all this abundance of greenery and all the sun and the blue skies and the beauty of the summer and the summer solstice, guys. And yes, this is a picture, a visual picture of a human being, and this means that you are like this card right now, growing, blossoming. It's difficult to understand, but it's that power behind you, Suklaf, that power that is behind you, that angel that is your judge. This is your judge. Suklaf is your judge, and your judge is standing up for you. Your lawyer, Suklaf, judge, lawyer, jury. This is everything standing up for you in that courtroom, saying yes. Everyone might be saying, no, this person is not. This person isn't. This person will never be. And the judge, the lawyer on your side, the judge is on your side, the lawyer is on your side, the jury is on your side. Nature has your back. And all these things that are spiritual pictures, that if I can represent them in human beings, I would say the judge is on your side, the lawyer is on your side, even the other lawyer is taking your side, but he's trying to defend the guilty person, but he knows that you're right, and he's almost like, should I even be defending this criminal when this person is like not even guilty, like that's the thing. You're not in the wrong. You're not in the wrong. And if you are, it isn't wrong. It's just a growing opportunity. Let's see what the last card is, guys. So we saw that we had the signs of Suklaf before I go on to the next card, is a branch, which is like symbolic of a wand, right? Which is the element of fire. And if I have to go back here, I would say you have the Page of Wands, which is the initiate of wands. And if I have to see, if we have the initiate of wands, which goes back to that whole card of like, when I spoke about like being an initiate, so kind of being like which is kind of being like new and not knowing what to say, not knowing the ropes, like not knowing what you're doing, like. So the symbol of Suklaf is a branch. And when you think of a branch, like, look, this wand is a branch, right, guys? Like, you can take any old branch that calls to you, and that could become your wand, and you can paint it, and you can do whatever you want to it. But that's your magical tool. And so Suklaf is also that magical tool in your kit, because the sign of Suklaf is a branch, and that is your magical tool. A flower, which is also a sign of something that is so beautiful, smells so good, has so much beauty emanating, but it's also very fragile, and it happens in seasons, right? So to be patient with ourselves and to remember that things always take time. And then a seed, guys, a seed. When you think about a seed that grows in the dark, right? Like, you plant a seed in the earth, and it's so profound how that seed, with a little bit of water and with enough sunlight going through that dark, dark, damp earth, and that moistness and the right temperature, and that seed will break forth from that husk around it, and it will start to grow into this bounteous, suklaf, this angel of verdancy. And that seed will grow into that verdancy, which is that fighting ability to live, that fighting ability to be bountiful, to be wonderfully beautiful. Like this, guys, we're growing into beautiful beings, romantically beautiful beings. And and that means that there's so much love and joy and peace coming from this growth, guys. So yeah, and I said I was going to get on to the next card, which is the last card. So let's go ahead and do that. I know this is, it's 39 minutes so far, this reading, guys. But you have card number 2, which is the last card from the Alice the Wonderland Oracle deck. I wonder what will happen next. And that's, I'm so happy because I just feel like that's so sly of divine spirit, angel, of verdancy to give us this. Thank you so much, Angel of Verdancy, for having the people that picked pile number 2, the seagull feather. You have the people that picked pile number 2, the seagull feather. The angel of Suklaf, the angel of verdancy, Suklaf, has your back. And now I wonder what will happen next. And what does it say underneath that? It says, ready to adventure, guys. That's what's going to happen next. A great adventure. You wonder what's going to happen next, guys? Life is an adventure, and there's ups, yes, and there's downs for sure. Precipice of change. What is the precipice of change? It's the peak, guys. It's the peak of change. Pause before action, guys. Remember your emotions. Remember, we didn't have an emotional cup in this. I don't know why, but I feel like this is such an emotional reading, and I feel like, just as we had the symbol of water, sorry, I have the wrong card. We have this water in this tower card, guys, which represents the cups, because water is held in cups, and the cups are symbol of emotion. And yes, we didn't have a cup suit represented here, but we have a lot of water in this tower card. And pause before action. Remember your emotions, guys. And that's my suggestion, is just to remember your emotions, to take your emotions into consideration. What will happen next? I wonder what will happen next. Ready to adventure, beginning, peak of change, which is the precipice, the beginning, the peak of what's going to happen. It's going to be a change, and the pause before action. So that opportunity to pause before action, guys. Nothing has to happen lickety split. And I guess that's what the message is that be patient with yourselves, because nothing has to happen lickety split. Pause before action, guys. You can pause before you do anything. You don't have to make things happen like this, guys. Life is a journey, and we have to enjoy the journey. And I know that sounds cliche, but you guys picked this beautiful feather, and that just reminds me of birds and how birds, they fly free. And sometimes, guys, like I saw a bird hit the window pane and fell down dead, guys. Death is a part of life. Yes, that's true. And all things will die eventually. But life is a cycle, and energy never dies, guys. And life will just keep cycling on. and we will always have new opportunities to learn. So I hope you guys who picked pile number 2, the seagull feather, really, I hope you were able to learn something from this reading. And if you did, leave a comment below. And if you feel like subscribing, I guess I should say, please subscribe to this channel. And this was the dark moon reading, because today is the dark moon for me here in the Northern Hemisphere on June 21st, 2020, Montreal, Canada. Let me know where you're from down below if you watch this video and you feel like doing that. And also, I'm reminded that there is a little bell if you subscribe, not to miss a video. They'll alert you when there's a new video coming out, and I release a video at least 4 times a month. I hope you guys enjoy that reading. For those of you who picked pile number 2, fly free, just like the birds. Bye, guys. Hi guys, I want to say welcome back, but you probably clicked to pile number 3's timestamp. Sorry, just got to refresh. The first 2 readings were phenomenal in my opinion, and took a lot of energy. They were each 45 minutes, so I suspect this one might be just as long, at least I'm hoping. So those of you who picked pile number 3, you picked the snail shell. There you guys go. So that's cool. So let's start getting into the reading. I have a lot of tarot decks, and as much as I can remember to, I will tell you what the tarot decks are that I'm using. And I have a couple oracle decks as well that I'm using. So, all right, guys, let's just take a little bit of a deep breath. Let's ask divine spirit of the element of air, fire, earth, water, spirit of the north, east, south, west, spirit of everything that is alive, God, world, energy, universe, goddess, moon, sun, life, death, energy. Let this energy be a pure energy of love. Let this reading be a pure reading of love for my viewers here today who picked pile number 3, and who, they're so cute, these viewers, because they picked this snail shell. And guys, I'm the one who picked up this snail shell from the earth, cleaned it off, and put it on my altar. So I'm just like you in that sense, that I would have totally picked that snail shell just as much as I would have picked the other 2 piles objects, because I picked all 3 of them. But anyway, just a reminder that you can get a lot of amazing stuff for your altar in nature. Like with the stone that I had in pile number 1, the seagull feather that I had in pile number 2, and now with this abandoned, I have to clarify that it was an abandoned snail shell, and I found it in the garden. So yeah, let's go ahead and start with the Deviant Moon tarot card, guys. Let's just take a deep breath again and breathe out, and let's just allow divine to guide us, to both you and my viewers, you and myself, my viewers and myself. Allow us to get as clear a message as we can, and allow us to learn as much as we can. So mote it be. So mote it be means like, amen. It's a prayer, guys. So King of Cups. Wow, okay. So King of Emotions, basically. This is the Deviant Moon Tarot deck, and it's quite an amazing deck, because actually, guys, I don't know if you can see, but I can definitely tell that we have a moon, a full moon. And I was looking at the ship and the water, and this King of Cups with his beautiful purple clothes on, and his extensively brilliant cup, and in the corner there, I don't know if you can see. I have to get a little closer here. I don't know if you can see in the corner down there, right there, guys. There's another, it's a moon, it's a sun, or it's a star, guys. Could be Venus. I would say it's probably the sun, though. I feel like it's the sun setting, and at the same time we see the full moon. It's happened before, guys. So you have the sun and the moon in this card, and both the sun and the moon are powerful energies that affect our emotions. And yet this king he's the king. He is, oh, sorry guys, I just like touched my incense. All right, take two. So I gotta be careful. Yeah, so I think that's a sign to me that I should be careful about not touching the incense. But anyway, so the King of Cups, he's I guess I like blanked out there, guys. Anyway, weird. So weird. All right, so we see a starfish on the beach as well. I don't know if you can see that. Symbolic of marine life, and starfish are kind of mystical, aren't they? Like, this card is almost like it's like a free for all card, because you have the sun and the moon, so it's like it's the complete day and it's the complete night all together. And the king is the master. The king has learned from experience. The king is in control. The king knows how things work. The king is in control of an empire. The king is in control of a population of people, and he makes the ultimate decisions. And when I think of a king, I think of like a medieval type thing, because we don't really have like king rulers anymore. But in these beautiful tarot cards, we always have a king and a queen, and the king is like the opposite to the queen, in the fact that, like, I feel like in this card we have the sun and the moon, and the moon is on the top, and they symbolize like feminine energy, but we also have the sun right in the corner there, which symbolizes masculine energy. So this King of Cups card kind of reminds me of a king who takes in consideration his queen, and he takes in consideration the emotions of his queen, and he has to be careful that he isn't swayed into moving in accordance with her emotions, because he has to remember that he is the king, and he has to take into consideration everyone's emotions, yes, but ultimately it is his own emotions that will lead to his mind making a decision one way or the other. So I feel like this reading is starting out by reminding me to remind those who are watching, who picked pile number 3, this snail shell, that we need to remember that we have to sort through our emotions, use our minds as well, in order to come to like a unanimous agreement. And when I say a unanimous agreement, I mean an agreement where we feel completely mind, body, and soul at peace with the decision that we make. And one might think, how do we have time to do that? But like, think of the King of Cups, like his job, all his job is to think about how to lead in a way that the general population, maybe not everybody will be happy and in agreement with the king's decisions, but he has to use wisdom in order to please a population. And so this card, this King of Cups card, I could easily say this is a card that says that you might be in charge of a large group of people, and perhaps that would be correct. But I feel like if I wanted to delve further in and not be so much talking about like everyday things, I would say that this is a card that says that you are the king of your life. You are the king of your life, and right now you have to focus on on your emotions, because you're the king. In this card, the King of Cups, it symbolizes emotions. And why? Because a cup holds water, and water is flowing. It's a flowing material. It often changes from one substance of well, not what substance, but like it changes from one form to another. So it can change from liquid to solid to gas. And it can be precipitation, it can be rainfall, it can be condensation. So emotions are like water, in the sense that there are many emotions, and we are not necessarily in charge of our emotions in the sense that we can control our emotions, but definitely in the sense that just like a king, we can objectively see each emotion just like a human being of a colony, or of a like a king rules a dynasty, or a king rules like his kingdom. So like your emotions are like that kingdom, and each person of the kingdom is like each emotion. And you have to look, right now with this King of Cups, you have to look at your emotions objectively and say, okay, that emotion is fear, that emotion is love, that emotion is hatred, that emotion is racism, that emotion is sadness, that emotion is grief. And so you can identify each of your emotions and make a decision based on the fact that you've clearly identified what the emotions are, just like a king can clearly identify what the subjects need in his kingdom and make a move accordingly. So this is the King of Cups. And and there's a ship in the background there, and I just love this card. It's so beautiful. I love how the Deviant Moon cards are always set at night, and yet that you can still see the sun there in the corner, and also that there's a ship in the background. And I feel like the starfish is a symbol of like subconsciousness, because like starfish are under the water, and so like if we think of under the water, we can't really know what's under the water unless we actually delve underneath the water. And you know, you can go so far deep into the ocean, who knows what's at the bottom of the ocean, but starfish are in the ocean. And you know, those, that's kind of like, to me, that's like the subconsciousness of things. Sometimes our emotions aren't clearly displayed before us, and it's really hard to identify what the emotions we're feeling are, because they almost feel like they're jumbled up. And sometimes it even feels like our emotions are getting away from us. Like you see there's a body of water here, and then like there's a ship like sailing, and it seems like the ship is sailing towards the king. So it's almost like the ship could be carrying emotions towards the king. So to me, that would represent like how our emotions, we always feel like, okay, we know what the basic emotions are, but then we never really understand sometimes like what the emotions are that are coming in. So this is like, this again, I feel like this is kind of like the dark night of the soul. But just the difference between the dark night of the soul, which I think I read in the pile number 1, this is pile number 3 reading. So the dark night of the soul here kind of symbolizes like the fact that like it's the dark night, but the moon is full, and there's also that sun in the corner. So there's a little bit more light in this dark night of the soul, in the sense that I feel like because you have the King of Cups, those who picked pile number 1, it's almost like you have a little bit more light in the darkness than those who picked, I think it was pile number 1 with the dark night of the soul. And so for card number 2, for those of you who picked pile number 2, we have Temperance. And I'm just looking at the picture. It's a really beautiful picture. Almost reminds me of the Little Mermaid movie, where King Triton was able to control the waters. And this Temperance card is card number 14. 14. I don't want to lean too far in because I don't want to knock my candles over, but you see how there's a gentleman holding 2 cups, like he's in between the white wave and the black wave, and it almost reminds me of the yin and yang, and he's balancing his cups even though he's being pushed up in this King Triton wave of water. And it's almost like he's being taken up by an imaginary force. This could be, the Temperance card could be a card of emotion as well, because water, as I said, is symbolic of emotion. This is a wave of emotion, but it's also about balancing your emotions. Temperance is about tempering things. So when you temper something, you change it from a state where it's either too hot to drink, or, and when I think of tempering something, I think of like, I work in a hospital where sometimes the liquids that I will give the patients to eat, because I feed the patients, it will be too hot, the soup will be too hot. So I take like a little, like a 30 milliliter little milk carton container, or even the milk from the carton that they might drink, and I just pour a little bit of milk into the hot soup or the hot the hot soup, usually it is. So, and that's tempering the temperature of the soup so that it's able to be eaten. So when you have temperance, I think of temperance and tempering soup. I think of allowing your emotions to be taken in a fashion that they won't burn you or scald you or cause you to have a damaged palate. Like when I think about the soup, cause you to have a damaged palate in the sense that tempering your emotions, you don't want a damaged palate with your emotions, meaning that the emotion that you experienced, if you took it in a sense where it wasn't temperanced, it would cause you harm. It would cause you pain in the long run because you would have a burnt tongue. So you have temperance because you had the King of Cups, and the King of Cups is this King of Cups with this card is reminding me that you are also human. So you can make mistakes too, and just keep in mind that you're not superhuman. You are not superhuman, and you are just as vulnerable to hurting yourself if you're not careful as anyone else would be. I feel like that's a harsh thing to think and to hear, because when I'm saying it myself, I feel like, oh my gosh, that hurts. Like, that hurts my heart. That doesn't sound right at all. That sounds like it shouldn't be said. And I feel like that's just an example of another emotion that we kind of have to take in strides. Like, what was that emotion that I just felt? Was it guilt? Did I feel guilty for saying that? And it didn't really feel like guilt. But now that I'm thinking back to the slow temperance of that emotion that I felt, I almost realize now that as I was realizing the emotion, I figured out that it was guilt that I said that. Because I almost feel like I shouldn't be telling people that they're human, that they're not superhuman. But that's the truth of the matter, right? And truth can make us feel guilty, just like I felt just now for saying the truth, that we're not superhuman as much as we oftentimes might think that we are. I think of youth, and I think of how when I was younger, I never really thought about getting old or dying. And now that I'm not 18 anymore, I'm 39, and I almost remember thinking to myself, I'll be old when I'm 20, and now I'm 39, and I'm looking back and I'm rethinking the way I thought things. So I feel like temperance means that as far as the King of Cups goes, and being in charge of our emotions and identifying the emotions that we see in order to make the right decisions, we all also have to remember that not all the emotions are the same, just like not all the people of the kingdom are the same. And you can't please everyone in the kingdom, just like you can't évite, it's a French word, you can't prohibit yourself from ever causing yourself pain in identifying and dealing with those emotions. They should be called emotions, right? Because they're emotion. When I think of emotion, I think of myself and emotion that I'm making. These are things that pertain to me, and I am making a motion. I'm moving towards a decision based on these things that pertain to me. So when I say emotion and I made a mistake and I said emotion, it's almost saying I motion to make this rule based on these emotions that I'm seeing. So it's like the King of Cups again, where we decide our life based on the motions that we're making in regards to us, and in regards to you and you and you and me. Each of us as individuals, we make a motion in regards to what we see in our lives and how we interpret it. And yeah, so let's go on to the next cup. So this is the next card, which is the Two of Cups. Here we see two of chalices, and this is naturally supposed to be a love card, but you see that it is a love card, but this card is a self-love card, because this woman, this is the Pagan Tarot, by the way. Keep watching my candles so I don't want to burn myself again on them. So this is, and now I got a runny nose, guys. What is this, like the most real tarot reader you've ever seen, or what? I'm talking about myself. So here we have the Two of Chalices, and chalices are cups. And okay, there's the Two of Chalices, guys. And you see it's a woman who's looking in a mirror, and She's wearing her, I want to say house coat, but it's more like a negligee. It's like a silk robe. It's so beautiful, and she has the most gorgeous legs. And she's sitting there at her vanity with her ponytail and her thick, luscious hair, and she's got her chalice in her hand. And it's almost like she's cheersing to herself in the mirror. And when she's looking in the mirror, she's seeing somebody that is dressed up fancy. And this is an image of her, but it's her dressed up in a fancy dress with her hair down and well coiffed, and the image has a reflection of the chalice that she's holding, right reflected right back at her. And she's in her bedroom, and she's on her futon there, and she's got her curtains and a beautiful mirror, and it's a beautiful picture of her at her dresser with her drawers. And she's got I think that's she's got her slippers on underneath her slip-on slippers. So she's comfortable in her room, but she's just imagining herself in a different light. And two is the Two of Cups, I've heard, is a love card. And it doesn't have to be, in my opinion, love in between two individuals, but it can be love in between two individuals as who you see yourself as and who you are now in this life at this moment. So you see, maybe she's thinking of herself in a situation that she hasn't yet been in, and she's imagining to a future moment where she will be regally divine, and she will be cheersing to, you know, her past self in her imagination. She's cheersing to this future person that she's imagining, or it could even be somebody that she has been in the past, and she's thinking back to a time that she's very proud of. So this could be a past card or a future card, but basically cups are symbolic of emotion. And the strange thing is, if you see that there's only one cup in this picture, it's the reflection that makes it look like it's two cups. And you see the number 2 there, and then the word chalices. I don't know if you can see the word chalices there, and the number 2. So it's funny because there aren't two cups. There's only one cup. The second cup is a reflection of the first cup. So it's almost like it isn't real, that second cup. So since cups are symbolic of emotions, and she's got that real cup, which is symbolic of a real emotion, and it's almost like the power of manifestation in this Two of Cups, Two of Chalices card from the Pagan Tarot. It's almost like she's manifesting a life that she dreams of, something that maybe she's experienced in the past that she wants to relive in the future, but perhaps she wants to relive it, you know, souped up like a souped up car. Like she wants to be living that same thing that she has lived in the past, where she's dressed up so fancy, but maybe it's a souped up version of that memory that she had, and she's almost reaching for something greater than what she has experienced in the past. So it's almost like there's some positive affirmation, there's manifestation of something that she imagines, and she's looking at herself in the mirror, and she's imagining something that she wants to see, and she's seeing it. You see, she's actually seeing that, looking back at her. It's not an imagination. So she sees herself in that position of feeling that emotion that she is cheersing with her other cup that is a reflection. She's affirming that I have this situation in which I'm feeling this emotion, because look, I'm cheersing with this cup, this real cup, to that imaginary cup, but that imaginary cup is a real cup in my mind because I'm cheersing against it. So the fourth card we have is the Six of Swords. This is a very I don't know, what would you say, like, if you saw this? Like, you see, it's the 6 is on the side. I'm trying to get you guys to see the 6 here. It's really hard to see with this light, but you see it says 6 on the side in the corner right there. and it says swords on the bottom. And the card is like, the swords are symbolic of mental processes. And there's a book in front of the skeleton man, and he has like a metal frame around his head. And it's almost like a vice on his head. And the swords are symbolic of the mind. So it's almost like this card is saying that it's possible to control your mind by the book. When somebody says something is done by the book, they mean that it's done exactly by the rules of that book. It's done to a T, perfectly by what has been written. So let's say it's a rule book or an instruction booklet, and it's done by the book, so it's done to a T. And you see he's got his book there underneath him. He's got it up with one skeleton hand, and it's the Six of Swords, so it's symbolic of the mind. And again, the 6 is a very spiritual number because it represents the number of the beast, which is a 666. And you know, 666 is a very spiritual number, and in the Christian religion people are afraid of that idea of the Antichrist and of the number of the beast being engraved on hands and foreheads in order to buy and sell. But I guess that just goes to show you that people are very controlled by their minds. And even though you had the Two of Cups, the card of affirmations and manifestations, this is also another card that says that you can do things by the book. And I think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing to do things by the book, but it's almost like he's in a vice. His head is in a vice, and now it's like a machine skull. And it's almost like this card is a spiritual card of being in a prison in your mind. And it's a dark prison. It's a spiritual prison, but it's a prison that is necessary in order to manifest. And I think that it's also affirming to me that it's about affirmations. It's about locking yourself into these affirmations that you are worthwhile, that you are lovable, that you are worthy, and you know, that you are able to temper your emotions, that you are able to, as we saw in this King of Cups, you are able to identify with words what are you feeling. And it's not an easy thing to do. So you've worked really hard to get to this point, or you are working hard to get to this point, or you will be working hard to get to this point. This is a dark moon, June 21st, 2020 reading, but it's a timeless reading for those of you who picked pile number 3, the snail shell. Okay, so the 5th card that we are going to pull here is from the Hush Tarot. And it's the Death card, guys. So card number 13. And I was going through my Deviant Moon Tarot deck, and I saw a card, and I wasn't sure what it was because it didn't have a Major Arcana label on it, but it was actually the Death card. And when I read to make sure that it was the Death card in the Deviant Moon Tarot, guys, I saw that the Death card was about starting anew. So it's not necessarily about a physical death. It's not a physical death. It's a spiritual death, guys. And here we have the card number 13. It's about starting anew. And you see why I say this? I see that in the picture that there's a skull and there's a bird on top of the skull. And I see that underneath the skull there are eggs, and some of them are hatched and some of them are not. You see there, some of them are hatched and some of them are not. And I for some reason, I'm thinking about temperance again, because in order to boil an egg, you need to put it through hot water. So this card of death and starting anew is like telling me to think about how it isn't easy to get to this point in your life where you can be the King of Cups, and it isn't. You know, it isn't easy to be able to take in the emotions for what they are, slowly but surely, and it isn't an easy thing to imagine yourself in a certain situation in order to make it happen, and it isn't easy to do things by the book and to control your mind in such a way that you can make things happen, whether they be physical or mental. Like in this card with the swords, it's more of a mental thing, but there's a physical book there. So it's almost like using your mental capacity, your mind, to do things the way they have been physically written down how to do them. So I'm thinking about an instruction booklet, and I'm thinking about how to put something together, and how you have to read a physical instruction booklet and imagine how it's happening while you're physically doing it, but you're using your mind to imagine that finished object that you are putting together. So it's a very difficult process. And here we have the death card, and you see the eagle. He has it's almost like he built this nest, because you see he still has a piece of straw in his mouth, this eagle. And you know how birds, they build their nests one straw piece at a time, and they build this home for their new eggs. And there's an eagle here, and what I was thinking about is how it's about starting new. So whatever he has there, and you see he has a skull, and it symbolizes death, but you see he's an eagle, and he's grabbing that skull with his talons, and he's going to take it out of that nest, and he's going to drop it. Like, that's what I imagine, is that he just doesn't need that skull in his nest where he is building something new, where he is having new little eagles being hatched, symbolic of new ideas and new life. So this death card, number 13, 1 and 3 is 4, and then 4 again is a number of balance, but it's a super balance, because you're balancing two things in each hand. So it's almost like you have abundance, because and it's almost like it's easy to balance that type of thing, because when it's 2 and 2 and they are each identical, you don't need to tip the scale at all on either side to make things happen. So it's almost like this is going to come effortlessly, this death to new life transition in observing. And it's almost like the King of Cups, where when you think of a king, he's kind of in charge of I mean, when I think about a king, I think of somebody who's in control of people's lives, like in the medieval times, where it's almost like the king could decide who dies and who lives. And so 13 is the card of death. And when I think of the king, and how we made an analogy about how the king sees his subjects, and how the subjects are kind of like emotions, and how you can let certain emotions die and allow new things to be reborn. All right, guys, the next card we have is from the Angelarium Oracle of Emanations. I'll just show you the box just in case you're interested. Angelarium Oracle of Emanations, and I got it on Amazon. And the card that you got, the angel on the card that you got, is Remph. He almost looks like a fiery bird. I see a lot of fire, a lot of energy, and a lot of air. It's the Angel of Time. So guys, what I've been doing is I've been picking up the book to read the explanation of these Angelarium Oracle cards. So you have the angel, the Remph, R-E-M-P-H, the Angel of Time. And I almost want to go ahead and explain the card without reading, because I feel like this is talking about how time is on your side. But I don't want to go ahead and just divinate it without actually looking at the book, because I feel like the book has a lot to say. So you have Remph. So let's go ahead and find him in the book. It's hard to deal with emotions, especially when you don't like what you see. Like, I'm just thinking about how I'm feeling like very... right now I'm feeling very inadequate, and it's a really hard emotion to let pass through me. But maybe you know what that feels like, to feel inadequate. Maybe sometimes you too have dealt with that feeling of inadequacy, and it's almost like you don't want to endure the pain of the heartache of feeling that inadequacy, because it's almost like you have to let that pass. You have to physically let that emotion pass from your heart, and to remind yourself with that affirmation that I am adequate. So here we have Remph, R-E-M-P-H. So fiery, beautiful angel with a lot of air and beautiful clouds. And I almost feel like that's the sickle moon behind him, like that sickle moon here. I almost feel like he's sitting on a sickle moon on top of a stone or something, or the sickle moon is behind him. So Rumph is the angel of time, eternally vigilant and forever burning. So guys, he's forever burning, this angel that is watching over you, the angel named Rumph, R-E-M-P-H. Eternally vigilant and forever burning. So he's eternally fighting and he's forever burning, which is vigilant means like somebody that is constantly fighting that battle. So eternally vigilant and forever burning. Rumph is the movement through space. And it's kind of cool because it actually feels like he's in space, doesn't it? I feel like that's a spacey card. So it says, Rumph is the movement through space, measured out with deft perception. I feel like when I think of deft perception, I think of like, I almost think of the word deaf, where it's like you have to be very careful when somebody is deaf and you have to use sign language, every little movement of your hands means something. And so you have to be very precise about the movements you're making. And also I'm thinking about a blind person and how if there's any, setback in a certain sense, like if it's someone's blind, they have the vision is not completely 100% for them, so they have to use Braille, and how each little dot symbolizes something when they use Braille. And I'm thinking about how those setbacks in vision or in deafness, like somebody can't hear completely well or can't hear at all, how a lot of other senses will be heightened in the lack of sense that one has. Other senses are heightened. So it says, excuse me, Rumph is the movement through space measured out with deft precision. So with very precise precision. It's almost like a redundant sentence, deft precision. So very precise precision, but it's very, very precise because they're using the word almost twice here. So our footsteps upon the earth mark its passing. So the passing of what? The passing of the movement through space measured out with deft precision. So our footsteps upon the earth mark its passing. For we are still bound to time. So remember, this is the angel of time. But we are bound to time still. One by one we tick and talk, and every life is counted. The brevity of life, but the preciousness of life. So every tick and talk, every life is counted. We tick and talk and every life is counted, even as those lives pass. So we're talking about death here. So you had the death card, right? So here we're talking about physical death. So even as those lives pass, we are sand and seconds and moments. And I'm thinking about an hourglass, right? And an hourglass has the sand going through it and it's measuring time. So we are all sand and seconds and moments, all fleeting. And when I think of fleeting, I think of a bird that flies away so abruptly. And I think about this eagle here that was on the death card, and how, if you scare a bird away, it will just quickly pass and you won't see it again. So we are all sand and seconds and moments, all fleeting. Fire burns until it doesn't. Lives are lived until they aren't. Dreams are dreamt until we wake. Rumph stands by all of this, counting. What better unit of measure than the souls that pass through the tree of life into Angelarium? Rumph walks between the pillars of past and present, turning every corner in every second. Rumph's movements can be seen in our own as a fulcrum between moments. And a fulcrum, if you think of, and it's so interesting because I feel like you had a balance card here. You had this balance card, which is temperance, where the man was balancing the cups while he was being taken away by this wave of Triton induced water. So it says, Rumph walks between the pillars of past and present, turning every corner in every second. Rumph's movements, can be seen in our own as a fulcrum between moments. And a fulcrum is like a balance. There is a fulcrum. There's a point in between a lever, and wherever that lever is how it determines which side will fall or if it will balance. So Ramph's movements can be seen in our own. So this card is kind of symbolic of yourself, the angel of time, in the sense that you are in charge of your own life, and you are just like Ramph, and your movements can be seen as a fulcrum between moments. So however you view your life is how the balance will fall, and however you view life, however you identify your emotions, is how you will in the end perceive them. And that kind of sounds redundant, but it's not, because it says the signs of Ramph, the angel of time, are a clock and a torch. So a burning torch, right? So a torch lights the way, but a torch is also not forever burning, just as they were saying when they said that Ramph says fires burn until they don't. So fire burns until it doesn't. And a wave, and it's interesting because a wave passes quite quickly, but you had the waves in this Temperance card, and it's almost like you are in charge of your fulcrum in this card, because there are two waves, and you are balancing yourself as you have those two cups in your hands. There's one there and there's one there, and this gentleman in the middle has both cups and he's balancing them out so that neither is tipping over. And this is telling me that you are the author of your own life, and Ramph is your angel. It's the angel of time, and it's the angel of obviousness. It's the angel that points out that yes, death is real. Death is not just death in the fact that it's about letting emotions pass. Death is a true thing. And I feel like, we know we're all going to die. And this reading is not to say, oh, you have the death card. That doesn't mean anything as far as your physical life goes, because this is a spiritual, energetic reading. And it's telling me that Ramph, time is on your side, because you have the angel of time. So I don't know if it almost feels like you have that opportunity of living a long life, because I don't know if you've ever heard that song, time is on my side, yes it is. So that's like this angel, the angel of time, and Ramph is on your side. So the angel of time is on your side, and that's such a positive message. And I'm thankful to the spirits for that message. So the last card we have for those who picked the snail shell, and it's so interesting because I feel like the snail shell also indicates life and death, right? Because at one time there was a snail in this shell, and at one time this snail in this shell was living, and it's almost like we have to, and me, myself, everybody, we kind of have to accept the fact that we're mortal. So the last card we have from the all right, guys, the Alice the Wonderland Oracle. Wake up, it's your moment. Wake up, it's your moment. And when I think about this, I think about how it's our moment. It's our moment right now. We are alive on this earth. It's our moment. We are the King of Cups. We are the rulers of our emotions. We are in charge of our lives. We need to wake up. We need to identify ourselves as in control of our lives, as the spiritual realm has our back, the angel of time, the angel representation of a spiritual being, the spiritual realm, and how time is on our side. And that the funny thing is that the angel of time is a spiritual being, but the angels are outside of time. So it's almost like this card is saying even the angels identify and accept that time is something that is real. They identify time for us as being a real thing, and almost that they're saying that time is an important thing for us. And this is your moment, guys. It's your moment. Wake up. And you see Alice here. She's very emotional, but she's got all those beautiful flowers, as if to say, this is the epic time of your life. This is the colorful, vibrant, lively moment of your life. Wake up to this beauty that is all around you. Wake up to the fact that you are a beautiful being. You have feminine energy, you have masculine energy, you have the darkness, you have the light. just like this card has like a light shining on her head, you know. When I think of the light, I think of spiritualness. And when I think of the dark, I see the dark around her and the flowers. And I think of the dark and I think of feminine energy. And I think of the light, I think of masculine energy. And it's like you could be a man or you can be a female. Feeling emotions is a human thing. And feeling emotions is a necessary thing. And look, he's the King of Cups, guys. And if you want a masculine energy, I mean, hello, we have a king here. And he's not just the king of anything. He's the king of his emotions, guys. And look how crazy sick this guy looks. Like he's like, I mean sick in like a friggin' cool way. He looks like the devil, and like he's not disguising himself. And the devil is just an amazing being. Like the devil symbolizes like coming to a point where you're ready to question life, you're ready to question laws, you're ready to question religion, you're ready to question belief systems, and you're not just ready to question in order to point fingers. That's not the case at all. You're ready because you want to grow, guys. You're ready because you want to grow, and this card says it's your moment. It's your moment, so live your life, guys. If I had to say anything, I'd say live your life. Just like this snail lived his life, and look what he left behind, this beautiful legacy of this beautiful shell with beautiful lines all over it. And this snail has become a part of my altar, and this is a snail that I put to honor Ceridwen, who is a goddess, and what snail would have thought that he would have ended up on a sacred altar, you know? So just remember that life is fleeting, yeah, just like the angel of time reminds us, but life is also a gift, just like these beautiful flowers in the Alice the Wonderland Oracle, and you have a beautiful gift, so live your life. It's your moment. Okay, guys, so that's for those of you who picked pile number 3. I apologize, my nose is like starting to leak now. But yeah, this was pile number 3's reading for the snail shell. I love you guys. Subscribe, click the ding dong button, the little bell. Comment down below. I love you guys. I'm so thankful that you stuck around to listen to this 45-minute reading, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.